Yo, what is up? This is your boy Jovan, and we're back at it with another episode of Weight Room Overtime, number 2. So, as you can see the title of the video, it's an interesting topic, right? Not something most people talk about or are knowledgeable about, unless you are in the industry of being a personal trainer maybe, or certified strength and conditioning specialist, doctor, chiropractic, physical therapist. You get it, that area, right? So postpartum exercise, right? It's a controversial topic of when should you start, what should you look forward to or not look forward to, right? How has my body changed, obviously, from a physiological standpoint, from giving birth and all that, raising a child, and what goes into a training program after, some of the things that you might need to consider, rather than just going to the gym and working out like you did right before you had the baby, or if you were an athlete participating in a sport when you're still actively recovering, right? So that's kind of what I want to dig into today, to kind of educate you guys a little bit about some of the actual proper programming you should do in order to see some gains rapidly rather than delay them. So let's get to it. So a couple things I wanted to mention right off the bat. It's really you can't clear yourself to exercise even though you might feel good. I think a lot of times you're still actively recovering, like I mentioned. So I think usually takes about 6 weeks, depends on what kind of delivery you had, whether that was a C-section or the traditional method. You're still recovering, right? So usually the doctor will give you a clearance of, hey, you can begin exercising now, right? So hey, what do I do, right? That's the main question. They're just gonna say to take it easy or whatever it may be, right? So let's say you're newer to exercise, right? Or let's say you haven't, really done exercise in such a long time that you kind of forgot. Or if you're, follow fitness people or fitness, models on Instagram, and you follow their booty workout plan or whatever it may be, right? Hey, guess what? That's not necessarily for postpartum recovery and postpartum, basic strength is kind of what I'm getting at, right? So what do you do, right, in this situation? So what you want to look for is the long-term plan, long-term goal, whether that's losing 20 pounds, whether that's going back to your normal weight, whether that's, competing in weightlifting, whether that's competing in, if you're an athlete, competing in that sport again in 6 months or whatever it may be, right? So for this topic, let's just say you want to lose 20 pounds we're in January, let's say by November, December time, right? So roughly gives you 43 weeks, 44 weeks, depending on what day you're looking at. But so within that time, right? So now we're looking long term rather than, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds by this summer, right? You had to take some things into consideration at that point of, how your diet is and how strict you're going to be into exercise and diet together, right? But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to focus on exercise itself and kind of dig a little bit deeper into how to program it correctly, right? So first thing you got to do is figure out, you understand your body better than anybody else. A lot of the things that mothers tend to, see after, during the postpartum recovery as well, is lumbopelvic area pain. So that's kind of your hip area, your sacrum, your iliac, and all that stuff. You're gonna have pains there regardless of, some people even see it a year or 2 years after giving birth. So you're gonna constantly feel that pain down there. And what's the reason? Obviously you had a baby, right? But what beyond that, from a physiological standpoint, you were carrying a baby for such a long time that your abdominal wall, abdominal muscles got weakened over time, right? Because you weren't exercising. Maybe you were, but obviously you can't focus because you have a baby inside your abdomen area, so you can't really focus on strengthening that point. But what do you do at this point, right? How does that go away? You have back pains from carrying a baby, right? Usually your posture is bad because you're hunched over. Your breast may have gotten bigger if you're breastfeeding, right? You're producing milk. A lot of energy goes into that. You get depleted from, eating a lot and, giving energy to your baby, hopefully, right? If you're breastfeeding. So also some of the things in consideration over time, if you do have multiple kids or have experienced some of this, obviously carrying a baby once they start getting older and heavier, right? They're not easy. You have to take them out of the crib sometimes if you're not stable or have that foundation of basic strength. A lot of times, you're going to continue to hurt or irritate some of these areas, like, your thoracic area, which is your back, a lumbopelvic area. So if you're showering a baby in a tub, taking the baby out of the car seat is a big one too, because sometimes you're kind of twisting. And if your stomach isn't strong enough or you're not strong enough to do that, then you can hurt yourself at that point, right? So some of the things to consideration too is you're gonna be out of breath for a while. Your lungs, I wouldn't say your lungs, but since you haven't exercised for that long into, any sort of cardiovascular, endurance or anything like that, it's gonna be hard initially. So take your patience. I think it's the number one thing. You have to ease into it. Not necessarily take it easy, right? You have to progressively overload, essentially, is what I'm getting at, over time. Not necessarily, I'm gonna go try to lift 30 pounds, overhead today, right? You're gonna hurt yourself. And you're not getting the best for your body with inadequate rest as well. So couple things that I wanted to mention, because I've recently done this for my wife, because she had her baby not too long ago. So the annual training plan, what it does is serving as a foundation for you and your body to be able to manage fatigue correctly and progressively overload, like I mentioned earlier, through series of time of a year-long plan, right? So we're planning for December to lose 20 pounds, for example, right? How are we gonna get there? It's kind of what I'm getting at. So let's just focus on these first 4 weeks, right? Maybe you just delivered a baby or are gonna have a delivery here soon, the next month or so, and you wanna get it back into exercise, right? What do? So let's look at this, right? So if you start with body weight exercises, right, initially. So you want to do everything that has to do with the hip flexion and extension. So, body weight squats, this could be, you could do planks, right, on a Bosu ball. If you go to the gym, I would consider doing Bosu ball because that's going to help with your stability. So anything that has to do with planks, or maybe push up Bosu ball if you haven't done that. If you don't know what a Bosu ball is, it's one of those weird things you see at the gym where it's kind of like a bounce ball, right, like the yoga balls. And then they're like cut in half. It has that flat surface on the other side. That's what a Bosu ball is. And you flip that around, and you can do it on the ball side. It's where you plank on there, and it's gonna give instability to you. But what that instability is doing is providing your body to recruit more muscles to strengthen that core abdominal area that you're kind of lacking, to be able to build that up over time, right? So let's start with you could do 30 seconds, rest for 90 seconds, and then go back on for 30 seconds, right? Initially, you want to start with, low volume and low repetitions, again, because your body is not used to it. But then over time, let's say the next week, you may want to shorten down your recovery time from 90 minutes to, let's say 90 seconds to 70 seconds, and etc. over time, right? Cut it down to 60 seconds, which is a minute, and then you go 45 seconds, 30 seconds. Now you're kind of working, you're killing two birds with one stone, essentially, right? Because you're kind of progressively, not necessarily adding weight, but you're also working on your cardio as well with stability, right? So I would start there. And if you really love weights or prefer weights, right, I would start with body weight anyway for the first month, 3 to 4 weeks, depending on, right, how you're doing and your recovery phase as well. If you had a C-section, obviously you probably are gonna, take a little longer before you start doing deadlifts, right, or squatting heavy weight or anything like that. I would start with stability and, body weight exercises. And this could be anything from TRX. If you guys are familiar with TRX, it's like those ropes you see at the gym where you could pull. You can start doing those. You can do lunges on those, split squats, or you can do, squat holds, wall squats. Anything like that has to do with your body, kind of being in one position. Because again, you want to re-strengthen those areas or re-strengthen your body back to what it used to be if you were into fitness before, obviously, right? Which, if you're new, hey, there's always a start. Everybody started somewhere, right? So not saying that you can't do it. I always encourage exercise for anybody because it's good for your health. It's good for your heart. And then with physical preparation, always have a warm-up too. Something you may want to start with a little bit too as you start going through, let's say you got cleared to exercise, right? I would start walking. I think a brisk walk, it's not going to hurt you that bad. Unless you could take a break. And again, if you're in a warm area, you can take your baby out for a stroll. But I would start with like 20 minutes, right? Do a brisk walk for 20 minutes, and then, come home or whatever you be. You can do your stretches or whatever you need to be. And then let's say the next day, or let's say you take a rest day, and then the next day after you do, 22 minutes, 25 minutes. You just increase over time. And then the week after that, you may want to do 10 minutes of walk, and then you run for 5, and then you walk for 10, right? And then progressively, we're gonna start getting your body back to that running phase that you may want to use to, and not go straight to a treadmill when you're cleared. That, hey, I want to lose weight so fast, I want to go. Don't do that, because again, you could probably risk some injury there, or you are not going to do it correctly. It's going to take you longer to get to losing those 20 pounds rather than, taking it a bit at a time. And again, listen to your body, right? Who am I to say that, you need to do this, and this? Hey, I can program you, but then again, when I program my athletes, or I wouldn't even say clients, I like to call everybody my athletes. I like to understand how they're feeling and understand if it's if I'm giving proper recovery time in order for them to progress themselves, not necessarily because I want you at this rate at this certain time. If there's a goal to get there, for example, let's say you're going to run a marathon in December. Hey, we might be on a tight schedule, and we might need to be at this certain weight or this certain running time or whatever it may be at this time of the year, right? So if you're not doing any of that, if you're not competing in anything, hey, take your time. What's the rush, right? I'd rather have you better health and get to that goal the correct way, rather than taking all these pills, supplements, whatever it may be, and just do it the natural way, right? So hey, if you guys have any questions, concerns, I know these are a little bit shorter, they're not very long. But I love to hear back from you guys. I know these are interesting topics for some people. Some people, may just swipe or whatever you may want to do. But I think it's important to understand, the basics of exercise science and why, things are there for a reason when it comes to the studies and what we see. Just take care of your bodies is kind of what I'm getting at. You only have one, right? And the best way to do is exercise. And as you grow older, you ain't getting younger. And tell you that, your muscles are going to start aching. My ankles crack every morning. Played a lot of soccer. I ran a lot. Did the military thing for a few years, and here I am, still trying to stay alive and strong. And yeah. But let me know in the comments as well if you are gonna have a baby soon. Congrats if you are. Being a parent is beautiful. Also, if your wife or significant other, or if yourself is currently going through a struggle of postpartum recovery, just know that it'll be okay. We need to find confidence first before you start, exercising or going to a gym. Hey, a lot of these things you can do at home. You don't need the fancy weights. You don't need the things to start. Let's prep your body first for the first 4 weeks. And then from there we can, progress into, hey, let's go twice a week to the gym and start working on some other things, right? So, hey, if you want to learn more about my programs or anything like that, when it comes to specific exercise, I'm your man. Shoot me an email, shoot me a message, leave me a comment. I'll reach out to you. I'm here to help. Let me know what you're struggling with, whether that's from a physiological standpoint or a psychological standpoint. If your situation is a little bit different than anybody else, there's always a way to, put exercise into any routine, whether you have health issues or anything like that, high blood pressure or anything like that. There's always ways around to train that. Don't let that be an excuse. But hey, again, let me know. I'm here to help. Take care of your bodies, exercise. Love y'all. Peace.